Listen, laugh, and learn with Sacha and Ish as they share their experiences, thoughts, and tips to build skills that are not so average and a career that's not so ordinary. This is the Not So Breakfast Show.
All right, welcome to the Not So Breakfast Show today, the podcast for leadership and career development. And today we are coming in live from Cambridge, but not Cambridge in New Zealand, Cambridge in Boston, because Sacha is on a worldwide tour, seeing people doing stuff, out partying until the late and early hours. Sacha, how are you?
Yeah, do you know what? I'm doing so good, but I have this new respect for that Shakira song, Hips Don't Lie, because I've been out dancing 3 nights in a row, and, you know, I'm having this festival of 50 where I'm doing just all the things, and I'm not blocking the blessing, and I'm saying yes to opportunities, and I'm out here living my best life, and now I can barely move because my hips... Oh, they don't lie. I've been doing the dancing with the old people. So I've come back to Boston to see, when I first went to Harvard Business School, our cohort, as they call them, we started in 2019, and COVID really disrupted our ability to stay together over the few years. And I don't know if you recall when the pandemic hit in 2020, it was like February, March, and it was really hard to know what to do, or to know how it was going to roll out. So I had a group of friends who I'd connected with at 2019, and I kind of attached myself to them. I became better friends with them because every month, or even sometimes every few weeks, we would reconnect from all over the world, about 6 of us, to try and make sense of what was happening in our countries, how could our businesses respond, what did we need to do for our people, what different approaches were governments taking. And because of the time lag, I would be getting up at 3 a.m., 4 a.m., but I was always there. And I look back and I realize how important that community was for me as we were trying to guide coffee culture through that time, and trying to just stay calm and stay sane. So anyway, those people couldn't come back to the States to do the second block of study because the States had locked them out. If you lived in China, India, UK, Brazil, South Africa, almost anywhere in the world, you weren't allowed to come back into America, but bless the US, they let us Kiwis back in. So I got separated from these people that had been my good friends. So they are finally graduating, and so I've come back to see them, and it's just been wonderful to reconnect and to share business observations, life lessons, learning. We're all a bit older, some people, and these are the people I hate. I mean, hate's a strong word. Loathe is probably a better word. Loathe is a better word. They've lost weight. So in between, like when we first saw each other and now, they look better. And then there's a bunch of us that just look older.
Oh, man.
And I'm in that category, but having a great time. And there's something about, I don't know if you've got a place like this, Ish, in your life where a place that's meant a lot to you for what you've experienced there, the people there, and when you go there, you're just inspired and you have elevated thoughts about your life and about what it's going to take. And for me, having turned 50, this is such a watershed time to come back and go, okay, so what does the next 50 years look like? So I'm doing all that kind of reflecting as well, which is super great. And the last thing I want to say, I've been here for 3 days already, and it's wonderful to be with all these people. And now I'm ready to go home and see my family. Like you get that, you know, and I really love that. Yeah. I love that I ache for them. That's a really nice feeling. I don't mind the ache because it just reminds you of what's most important.
Yeah. And you're going to try and catch up with Tiger?
When I finish here, I'm going to fly down to Tennessee, Nashville, Tennessee. Actually, he lives in a place called Lebanon. He's at college there, so I'm going to go and see him.
Oh, nice. That'd be real cool. Brilliant.
Yay. Yeah. Real cool.
Well, we've had a crazy ride, actually, over the last couple of weeks with life events just going on. So Joe's dad ended up getting rushed into emergency surgery because he got a blood clot in his leg, which resulted in him having to have it amputated. So, a couple of big operations. So it was actually quite a reminder just how things just happen. You know, he was fine on Thursday and then was in surgery on a Friday and then They tried to do an amputation below the knee that was unsuccessful, and then they finally ended up taking one, doing the amputation above the knee. But he's recovering really well, and just his attitude around, I'm just going to get on with it, and it is pretty amazing to see him go through that. But yeah, just how fast stuff shifts. You think you've got everything in control, you think you've got your handle on everything, and then suddenly the rug gets swept out from underneath you, you get blindsided, right?
Yeah, everything's really nice in its place, and then life happens. And I know I was in Christchurch when Joe was down in Christchurch, and I had taken my parents to Christchurch. It's the first time they've been on a plane since, I don't know, maybe 5 years. With the whole COVID thing, they hadn't been on a plane, and so they've aged over that time. And I was just, when that had happened to Joe's dad, and we were in Christchurch as well, I was just sort of thinking, wow, that is just so quick that things just change. And I looked at my parents and I was like, wow, what would that be? Oh, amazing. So yay, Joe's dad. Hang in there, buddy.
It does kind of make me think as well about those, those life stages that you go through, because like when you've got you're first married or you're with your partner and all that kind of stuff, and you can just do anything you want, right? You decide to go away, you lock up the house, you go away, and then you kind of go through that stage where you've maybe got some children or some responsibilities with pets and animals and stuff, and all of a sudden that stuff becomes more difficult, right? And now we're at the stage now where the kids are now completely self-sufficient and independent, and we're lucky if we see them most of the time. But now we're kind of going into this season where it's like, wait, so now our parents are getting to the stage where they're needing to rely on us now. And it's just so interesting how you think that stage is so far away, but it really does come up. And I think I was listening to a podcast the other day, and they said, when people get to 40 and 50, they often think they're, in the middle and they've got another 40 or 50. But the problem is time feels like it's speeding up. So maybe when you get to 40, you've only got another 20. Realistically, as far as like the feeling goes, which, freaks me out.
Well, part of my approach to saying, what do I want to do this year? What does 50 look like for me? It was a celebration of making it to 50. And also this idea that I'm halfway. But the reality is things get harder physically over time. So I'm nowhere near to giving up yet.
Yeah.
Right? But I keep trying to say this to my mum and dad. Dad's going to be 81 soon. And he's trying to balance between how much money do you need in the future? What things should you allow yourself to enjoy now? I said, Dad, you are never going to be fitter than you are now. So if there's something that you want to do that involves walking anywhere or being active, this 2024 is the year to do it.
Yeah.
You can't wait till you're 95 and go, well, I'm definitely going to die in the next 5 years, so now I can have a trip. It's like if you've got the means to have a trip, have the trip now.
Yeah.
I think we're living in some really interesting times in terms of what's going on in the world, and I especially feel that here, being with my international friends. So people from all over the world, they have all different faiths, all different cultural backgrounds, and we're all just trying to mooch along and make sense of what's happening. And it's very easy to feel powerless, to feel like nothing you do can actually move the needle on anything. And so one of the things I've been reflecting on is what our definitions of success are. And so I want to ask you some questions about that, just put you on the spot. How do you define success? And success for you, like in this moment. So at 50, what is success for you? And what do you think success will look like at 55 and 60? Because I just think we need to be really careful that we're not chasing, I don't mean you and me personally, but us personally as well, all of us, that we're not chasing things that actually don't matter. And how do you get the balance? Yeah. So do you know for you?
I do look at the girls and start seeing them start to excel and perform and be successful in their lives as they go forward. They've got good friends, they've got nice boyfriends, they've got good jobs, as far as the experience goes. So probably the success of the fact that through all the struggle that you go through as a parent, through all of the, have we made the right decision? Did we do that correctly? Probably shouldn't have lost my shit in that conversation, probably shouldn't have yelled that time. At the end of the day, they kind of come out of that and it's like, oh my goodness, two normal, contributing, functional human beings. It's almost like a high five, Joe. We did it. I don't know how we did it.
Yes.
But we did it. Yeah. So that would be a measure of success for me with the kids at the moment.
Yeah, I love that. And I always caution against living vicariously through your children, right? Because there will be really good people out there that have done a really good job, and for whatever reason, their children are going through a shit phase, and you can blame yourself. You can go, is it my fault that my child's got a horrible boyfriend? Is it my fault that they don't want to work? Whatever. And sometimes it is, but usually it's not. But when you're in the position that you're in, where you go, actually, the girls are good, then, that old expression kind of happy kids, happy family, happy wife, happy life, that kind of thing. It's really hard to be happy when the people you care most about aren't. Yep. And I think that's a reality. And one of the definitions for me for success is to go, do the people I care most about have some happiness in their life? And if they don't have that happiness in their life, have I done all I can to try and help that? Because ultimately I can't own it. I can't own it if people make choices that move them away from happy, but you can continue to put options in front of people that might enable them to experience some joy. And I know for one of the things that was pretty interesting over the last couple of nights, we were at this nightclub in Boston. It's called Encore, and it's in the Encore casino. Oh, it's a different world. It's not how we party in New Zealand, put it that way. It's like there's servers there not wearing very many clothes, and the guy servers have all got really tight tops on, and the girl servers have not much on at all, and it's pretty extravagant and expensive, and it's a different world. And along with my colleagues there, I was like, oh, this is like being out with our children, because apart from us old people, everybody there is the same age as my kids. And the ABBA song, gimme, 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 came on. Gimme, gimme, gimme a man, right? And the crowd goes nuts. And I just had this memory that when we were away earlier this year, me and my kids had an amazing time dancing to that song. And for me, one of the definitions of success is my adult children want to dance with me. Or maybe my adult children let me dance with them. Slightly different.
Video the reality of actually and do a POV of actually what's happening.
I can post the clip. It's real. We were having a good time. And I thought that is, if you've got the strength relationship with your kids that they want to, or they will let you dance with them, they'll take your call. If they need help, they're humble enough to ring, and they know that there's an expectation that you will answer their call. For me, that is a really nice definition of success. Okay, so I've been thinking about business as well, obviously being in this environment, and thinking about strategy and success. And a lot of talk up here about AI at the moment, but it seems pretty evident to me that a lot of what we talk about AI actually isn't artificial intelligence. It's just more data mining, more of a digital world rather than AI. But even within all of that, the key thing that comes back to me is the choice that we have within our careers and within our businesses to focus. And so I am, Christians call it convicted, right? You get convicted. You feel like your heart rate goes up. You know that there's some truth for you. And so for me, the thing that I am convicted about, like I am called to account about, is the reason I'm not achieving the level of success that I desire in various pursuits is because I am unfocused, because I do too much. So I either have to say, it's okay, I like my portfolio of activities, that's what I choose for myself. I have a bit of governance here, I have a bit of, driving a company over here, I have a bit of podcasting, I do a bit of speaking, and that's a portfolio life, it's legitimate, that's great. You can be pretty good at all of those things. You're never going to be excellent at any of them. You're never going to be truly excellent unless you really knuckle down and focus. And it's okay to make that choice, to go, I want to be above average at 5 things. Good. But then don't beat yourself up for not being incredible at one. Recognize that the people who are doing truly extraordinary things are, for the most part, incredibly focused. So my challenge for 2024 is to say, what am I going to give up? What will I say no to in order to be more excellent or to get above average in the things that I truly want to succeed in? And no, Ish, I'm not breaking up with you.
Oh, that's good. So we can still meet up once a week.
We can still podcast.
Brilliant.
We can still podcast. But I think the process is really useful to go through, is to look at all of the things you do. And instead of going, look at all the things I do, I'm so busy, I'm so important, I'm rushing from one thing to another, is to go, actually, this makes me a bit average.
Right.
Because I can't possibly. I mean, do you do too much?
We'll be right back.
If there was one skill that could double your income, advance your career, and increase your ability to influence, it is the skill of presenting. Whether it's on stage, in the boardroom, or at a job interview, the 30-Minute Presenter program will help take you to the next level. So check out our Instagram page, click the link in the bio, and get started on the 30-Minute Presenter program. I think I'm quite strategic about where I focus my time, but what I have...
Yeah, good. Teach me.
What I have been doing recently is I do recognise the fact that the world and environment is changing rapidly, and so I'm trying to expand my worldview in a way that's not so biased. So I've just been...
Tell me more. That's interesting.
Yeah, so it's not that I'm trying to do lots of things, but I'm just exposing myself to different types of thinking. And I've been listening to some podcasts that I wouldn't normally listen to. I've been reading some things I wouldn't normally read. And it's really just to kind of see, so what else do people think? Because otherwise you just get in that group where you become basically a reflection of the 5 or 6 people that you hang out with. You think a certain way. I'm in a position where my opinions count and have weight in behind them. So it's kind of like, well, what if I haven't got all the answers? You know, what do I need to understand? So I've been doing some skill development in other areas. I listened to a podcast the other day about lesbian seagulls. Which was quite an interesting podcast. And it was where homosexuality and same-sex pairing shows up in the animal kingdom and has for
nature,
and for such a long time, and how that was basically message was suppressed over time. So so I've kind of been listening to that and just kind of pushing myself into a genre of podcasts that just spark different types of thinking. And I found that really helpful, mainly because as I look at my leadership style and with younger people coming through, and especially younger into my team, I want to be able to stay relevant and have conversations with them and expand their worldview. But it can't just always be, hey, the 80s were great, even though they were such.
Yeah, well, they were the best. And I think it's interesting there when you talk about people in your team and expanding their worldview, when the reality is, of course, they expand our worldview. It's like, they are teaching us about how to see things with fresh eyes. And I just love this. I love that exploration. And it's not about losing your truth or losing what you believe. It's about saying, what if there are other perspectives that are valid? So not wrong, getting out of the binary right or wrong, but just what if there are other perspectives that are valid? And what if I am wrong?
Yeah.
What if I am wrong about something? What would I need to change about my behavior to embrace other ways of being? And I think that's fascinating. I was reading about people putting panels together, and one of the worst things that you can have on a panel is people who are
men.
Men, but also vigorous agreement, right? And so the risk is that we get to a certain stage in our careers and in our lives where we want to connect with people that get us. And so because of that, you end up being in a social network or in a work environment where you just have everyone around you who just, vigorously and vociferously agrees about everything. So you and I agree about most things. Oh, that's what we agree. But the new thought and the inspiration comes from having fresh perspective,
Yeah.
right? From people who encourage us or inspire us to look at the world in different ways. And so again, I come back to this experience here, and in the very last lecture we had in my group at Harvard Business School, there were a couple of key messages that came out of them. And one of them was, you have to shoot your shot. You have to take the shot. That whatever opportunity is in front of you, whether it's in your career, whether you want to start your own business, whether you want to ask a girl out, you want to ask a guy out, shoot your shot. I mean, there are lots of things worse than living with regret, but living with regrets is horrible. To go, I'm just not sure what would have happened if I had rolled that dice. So the encouragement and the exhortation is to roll the dice. Most of us know what we want to do. We know what we need to do. We're just too scared to do it. So there's this, come on, there's a you can do it message in there. Well, actually, not even that you can do it. There's no guarantee it's going to be successful, but you should at least try.
Yeah.
And that's the shoot your shot bit, right? And the second thing is just to be really careful about judging others. And I mean, I think when the professor gave this message, I think it might have just been for me, because again, I felt that pang of, oh, this is me. I'm so quick to judge. I'm so quick to not write people off, because I still believe in all of the human potential, but I'm pretty quick. Like, it can be a strength to make quick decisions. So I recognize that that's good. I can decide, boom, let's go. But I am quick to judge people rather than say, what if how they went about things actually didn't affect me? Because it doesn't. So why don't I just stop getting up in everybody's business? Yeah. Why don't I just take care of my own business? And I think about how much energy I give to other people's dramas or other issues where really I could just focus on the things that are most important to me. And that comes back to what I was saying at the start about the clarity. What does success look like? What do you want? I'll use this as an example. You can go on your community Facebook pages and somebody will be ranting about the teenager that's driving too fast or the cat that's stealing someone's milk. And I'll find myself, I'll be 3 sentences into a comment. And then I'm like, back away, Sash. This is not a good use of your time. This is not a fight you need to get into. And that's like a micro example throughout the day of time that I spend on things that aren't really important. And with all of the noise out there, I think that's one of the key things we can do to set up for whatever our definition of success is get really clear about what we get sucked into watching, what we get sucked into viewing and filling our brains with. And space in our brains is much better. And I love that about coming here, just having some space in my brain.
The time that you've been spending with these people, I guess, would be called, and we use catchphrase at the moment, but like a mastermind, right? It's a group of people that have chosen to connect on a regular basis and just discuss things. Because to your point, multiple perspectives, experiences, religions, backgrounds, there's power in that thinking, because all of a sudden an idea just gets quickly exposed through all of those filters, rather than you having to go out and go, well, I'm going to investigate what this person would think in this situation. It's like, let's just bring him in and just ask him right now. So I love that mastermind kind of approach, and people pay big money to be in mastermind groups where they can just test an idea or float an idea, because really what it's doing is it's acid testing rapidly through multiple perspectives, not just people, to your point, that just agree or are all like-minded and exactly the same.
Yeah, and I come back to this, the paradox of some of the things that we want. So, for example, you and I both talking about our families as being a key measure of success and happiness for us. The more you try and make your kids happy, the less happy your kids will be. Right? That's the paradox. So if you think about, for lots of the things that you want, they happen by just having some fundamentals in place. So I believe I'm a better parent when I'm also actively involved in the pursuit of my own interests. Not that parenting is my full-time job / hobby. And I think that's true of a number of things, that if all we focus on our businesses is the profitability of the businesses, we can ironically make our businesses less profitable because we stop caring about customers or we don't build environments for our teams to thrive. So it's almost like the thing that you want, you almost have to not focus on that, but focus on some other stuff that delivers it. Does that make sense? I think I expressed that really badly.
It's not obsessing on a specific outcome, but it's knowing what actions would be useful to have or to do in order to get a specific outcome, right? So if we think about the kids example, you want them to grow up to be functional human beings, and you could be driven and try to make them do charity work and all this kind of stuff. Or you could just create good memories and do some stuff that supports them and encourages them and challenges them without any specific intent, and it all seems to work out. I've got a meeting with my team tomorrow. We're doing an offsite, and I've got them all. They're going to come over to the house, and basically we're going to be just watching a couple of leadership clips I've found, and then we're going to be discussing those, and then we're going to be building some 90-day plans. But as part of the 90-day plans, what I want them to focus on is what I'm calling like needle-moving activities. So what are the things that they do in their day-to-day that actually shift the needle, that actually make a difference? So it's not a task. It's not, right, you need to deliver this result by X. It's in your day, if you've got some time and you were to choose an activity to do, what activities should you focus on? And hopefully they'll be able to come up with like 5 things that's their superpower. If they just spend time doing that, all the other stuff will just fall into place anyway. And I think that'll be a useful exercise. And coming back to our kind of, I guess, point around widening their worldview and I guess them widening our worldview. But I think our perspective now is also around just kind of asking great questions, not so much maybe giving opinions, but at least asking good questions to get people to think slightly different. And some of my best mentoring opportunities have come from people older than me because they've just asked a question or put across an option that I hadn't even considered because it wasn't even something that I'd experienced at that point. Yeah,
and I love that they're coming to your house to do that activity because I was worried that they were going to be coming to your house to clean it. Because remember those church leaders that kept getting in trouble because they were bringing interns over and getting them to do housework? I'm like, is your offsite cleaning your house? That's amazing. How do you do that?
So the little activity I've got planned, I should change that.
Yeah. The little scrubbing activity. I you know what I think might be surprising for you, and I don't know your team, so this might be unfair. I think people find it really hard to articulate things like that.
Oh, definitely.
To really understand. So 2 things. One is in terms of their own superpower, and the second of all is what actually moves the needle. It's really hard to explain, what we do, and I think it's such a useful exercise. I had this not self-doubt. I don't have huge self-doubt, but I have moments where I just question whether I'm doing enough. I'm like, am I doing enough? Am I making enough of a contribution? Am I making a difference to enough people? And I had at this gathering that we had a party for Diwali last night, and a man came up and he said, "Oh, I recognize you. You're Sacha." And I hadn't met him before. And I said, "Yeah, hi, pleased to meet you." And he said, "Oh, do you remember when you gave the graduation talk when you graduated?" I'm like, do I remember? Yes, I only shit bricks for 4 days in preparation for it. I only when I got up there, just my mouth got so dry I could barely form a word. Yes, I remember it. So apparently a friend of his was graduating at the time, and so he had he'd watched it on the live stream. He was somewhere in Britain watching it. And so he came up at the party and he said, "Do you remember giving it?" He said, "I just want to let you know." And then I want to let you know. And then he proceeded to give me some really lovely feedback about that talk. And for me, it was just a reminder that I had no idea that particular individual was watching on that particular day. And it's okay to not beat yourself up about if you're doing enough. If you're doing an honest day's work, you're focusing on things that matter, you've got your foundational priorities right, and you kind of just have to let the rest of it go. Just, like you say, focus on the things and the outcome takes care of itself.
We don't all have to be Oprah. Let's talk about Netflix, because we have not done that in a while, and I know that's a huge part of our show, is a little bit of, just exposing people to some shows that are out there.
People mainly just like go, could you get through that 25 minutes of bullshit and tell me what to watch on Netflix? So yes, what are you watching?
All right, so here's my recommendation.
Okay.
I'm watching Upload at the moment. I'm watching two. So one called Upload, which is a little bit like The Good Place, but Upload, the premise is you don't really die. They just upload you into heaven, which is really your retirement plan. So,
okay.
But you get what you pay for.
Oh, wow.
Shall we say?
Okay, yes.
So basically you can pay for, your afterlife. People can come and visit you because they put on their VR goggles and stuff. So really it's not like death. You can actually carry on a relationship with your person back home and all this kind of stuff.
Wow.
But it's quite interesting because like there's this little kid, he's about 9 and he fell into the Grand Canyon, but his parents won't pay for the upgrade for him to get older. So he's stuck as this 9-year-old and because all his mates are growing up. So there's all these little nuances and stuff that are pretty funny. So I'm quite enjoying that. And then the other one I'm watching is Welcome to Wrexham, which is Ryan Reynolds.
Oh.
And I forget the other guy's name. That's terrible. But they've brought a Welsh football team. And that's in one of the really low divisions, but it's like the oldest football team in Wales. And the fans owned it because...
Is this the documentary, right?
It's real, yeah. So I
was going to say, it's not. He's done that in real life. So, okay, I realise now this is the doco. Great.
Yeah. So if you like Ryan Reynolds, you'll love it because he's hilarious, right? So, but man, it costs him a lot of money.
He's doing his thing. Well, I reckon next time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the 5 books that I bought at the Harvard bookstore. So I'm planning to not watch Netflix and read. So next show, we're going to go through what's the top 5 things that I bought. And one of them, which I didn't buy, that I'll leave you with, it's a beautiful book, and it's called Buy Yourself the Frickin' Lilies.
Wow, okay.
And it's really about how to take care of yourself without waiting for someone else to take care of you. And I think that's a great way to kind of wrap up the show because your self-care involves watching Netflix, staying relevant, enjoying that downtime and that break. And that's not selfish to be self-full. It says if I'm going to be a functioning leader, I got to do some stuff that fuels me and feeds me. And I love that. So 5 books coming up.
Yeah, you can't have selfish without ish.
Yeah, there we go.